Hey guys, it's me, Pamela from Buzzfeed.blogspot.com, and today in my episode for Pamela If You're Not, I am going to attempt this video recipe I saw, and they are Kenyan samosas. So I'm not going to follow the recipe in the way that I'm not going to actually make the wrapper. I've had horrible wrapper dough experiences, so I'm just going to use this brand. And they're really thin like this. And hopefully I'll come up with cute little triangle samosas.
These samosas are going to be filled with beef. So I'm going to work on the filling by heating up a nonstick pan and drizzling some oil on it. And then I'm going to toast up some cumin seeds as well as ground coriander. And I'm just going to toast them until they're fragrant. Now that the spices are nice and fragrant, I'm going to add in my ground beef. It's a pound of ground beef and mine is 93% lean. I'm going to use my wooden spatula to break up the meats so that it's easier to fill my wrapper. Once the meat started browning, I added in my onion. I chopped up half of a large red onion. So the recipe called for a little bit of jalapeno. However, I want my kids to try this, so I'm just going to add in a little bit of chili powder, and hopefully most of the spiciness will kind of get a little nullified from the fried wrapper. Now add in 1 clove of minced garlic. I personally hate mincing garlic, so I'm not using fresh garlic. Mine came already minced in a bottle. But if you have fresh garlic and don't mind the mincing, then use fresh garlic. The fresher, the better. The meat is mostly cooked, so now I'm going to add in the salt. The recipe says to add in frozen peas. I have a can of mixed vegetables. It includes some potatoes, carrots, peas, and maybe a little bit of corn. So I rinsed and drained a can of that and added that in. At this point, the meat's basically cooked, so I'm just tasting for seasoning. So I added some garlic powder, as well as cracked black pepper, and a little bit more of that chili powder. And then I mixed everything through, and then I'm going to let it cool before the next step. Now that the filling has cooled, I can start working on the wrappers. So I had to make a little glue, and it's basically just some water and all-purpose flour. I bought these mini spring roll wrappers. The package was shown at the beginning of this video. These came in 50 sheets, and so I'm going to, it's kind of like origami. I pulled the top half of the sheet down, and then on the left hand side I pulled the bottom corner up to form a triangle, and then I pulled that triangle down to the right to make another triangle. And I'm going to use some of that glue, and with that extra flap on the bottom there's a top layer, so I glued the top layer. And then I glued the bottom layer on top, so it'll form a nice triangle. Now that the triangle has been formed, if you look on top, there's like a pocket. So I just used my fingers to widen the pocket until basically it turned into a cone. That's where I'm going to add in my filling. So I'm spooning in a little bit at a time my cooled filling, and I'm using the spoon to also push the filling down so it kind of goes to the bottom of the cone. And it's just going to go up to that bottom lip. So now it's time to seal the samosas, so I'm going to add in some more of that glue, and I'm going to fold that top flap down. Make sure I'm sealing all the corners so that there are no holes, to where there'll be less of a chance of like a explosion when we fry these. Folding these samosas was really like origami, and it was very therapeutic for me, so I was really trying to get better at it. And so here's my first batch. It's finally fry time, so I added a bunch of oil to this pan that I use for frying, and then I gently lowered in 4 samosas once the oil was hot enough, and I'm just basically waiting for the bottom layer to turn golden brown.
I was a little impatient and flipped them onto the other side a little bit too early. But basically, once this side gets fried, then I'm actually going to flip them back over to tan some of those lighter spots on the first side. So here are a few of my first batch. They came out nice and look super crispy. And yeah, so the video I watched, the chef, she suggested eating it with lime on top. So I'm going to squeeze a little lime.
You heard that? That's the sound of delicious.
That is good. I definitely recommend the lime on the skin, but I'm also going to squeeze a little bit inside.
Oh yeah, you hear that crunching.
I definitely recommend this recipe. If you're brave enough to try the homemade wrapper, go for it. I just know from previous experiences, I am just not that great at it. So I used this brand from my farmer's market, or international farmer's market, and they work great, super crispy. Please click on the down arrow description box. It'll have the video that I watched, as well as the written recipe and other links in there. And thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like. And I hope you guys try this.
Click on the bell.
And I hope you guys try this recipe out. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye.